Emily stood in the doorway of our bedroom, a weekend bag slung over her shoulder. She looked tired, but not in the way someone looks after a long day. It was something else. Nervousness? Guilt? I couldn't tell at the time. "I'm going to spend a few days with Mom and Dad," she said, avoiding my eyes as she folded her arms. "They're not doing great, especially Mom. She's been calling a lot lately, and says she misses me." I smiled, nodded. "Of course. Take the time. I've got the kids covered. It's just 3 days, right?" She hesitated a second too long. "Yeah. 3 days." It was Thursday evening. The kids Liam and Sophie had a long weekend off from school. I'd already planned to take them to the Science Museum on Friday and maybe do a backyard movie night Saturday. It'd be busy, but nothing I couldn't handle. Emily kissed the kids goodbye with just a little too much emotion, like someone slipping out of something rather than stepping towards something. Then she was gone. On Friday, the kids and I had pancakes for breakfast. I let them pour way too much syrup. They asked about Mom and when she'd be back. I said Sunday. They seemed fine. I texted Emily around noon. "Hope you got there safe. How are your parents?" She replied an hour later, "Yeah, I'm here. Just tired. Been a long day. Love you." I read the message twice. No mention of her mom. No emojis. Just dry. Distant. That night, I FaceTimed her while the kids brushed their teeth. She answered, but her face was dimly lit, like she was in a hallway or corner of a room. Said she was in her old bedroom. I tried to make small talk. Asked if her dad was still obsessed with fixing his old truck. She gave a weird laugh. "Yeah, still at it." But I didn't hear his voice. Or her mom's. Just silence. On Saturday, we spent most of the day outdoors. I grilled hot dogs. Sophie drew a chalk mural of our family on the driveway: Mom, Dad, Liam, Sophie, and a dog we didn't even own. Emily didn't call. I sent her another message around dinner. "The kids miss you. They want a video chat before bed." An hour later. "Sorry. Long day with Mom. She's emotional. I'll call tomorrow." I stared at the screen for a long time. Something felt wrong. I don't know why that was the moment it clicked, but it did. Saturday night while the kids were asleep, I sat in bed and opened our shared Google account. Emily never disabled location sharing. She forgot, or maybe she just never thought I'd care enough to look. While the kids were asleep, I sat on the edge of our bed, lit only by the faint glow of my phone screen. I don't know what exactly pushed me to check her location. Maybe it was the strange way she texted. Maybe it was how she dodged my calls. Or maybe it was that feeling in my gut, the one you don't want to believe because if it's right, then everything you trust collapses. Emily and I had a shared Google account. Years ago, when she kept getting lost on road trips, she asked me to enable location sharing on her phone. I never turned it off. She never thought I'd look. I opened the map. She was upstate, yes. In her hometown. But not at her parents' house. She was staying at a hotel 30 minutes away from where her parents lived, the address I'd visited with her countless times over the years. Her childhood home, the one with the creaky porch and the worn-out mailbox, the one her dad still refused to sell despite the rot in the basement. She wasn't there. She was at a cozy lakeside inn just outside of town, nestled near a wooded area where no one would recognize her. A place for lovers, not daughters visiting aging parents. I even looked up the inn's romantic getaways, private cabins, and couples packages available. The words twisted in my stomach. I stared at the address for a long time, blinking to make sure I wasn't seeing things. I wasn't. She had lied. She had gone to her hometown but not to reconnect with her mom, not to help her aging father. She was reconnecting with someone else. Someone she never told me about. I could have stopped there. Could have closed the location map, buried the gut punch of what I'd seen, and waited to confront her face to face. But I couldn't. Not with my heart pounding like this. Not with that hotel address still glowing on my screen. So, I opened Facebook. Emily always used some variation of our anniversary as her password. She'd never been good at digital security. I tried the date. Then our dog's name at the end. I got in on the second attempt. Her inbox was quiet at first glance. She didn't use Messenger often, or so I thought. But then I saw it, a conversation pinned to the top of her messages list. Mark Dawson. I stared at the name for a long time. It sounded harmless. Ordinary, even. But it wasn't. Not to me. I remembered it from years ago. A boy she'd dated for a year in high school, someone she'd called her first real heartbreak. She mentioned him once during a conversation about old flames. Said he went away to college and never came back. It didn't mean anything, she'd said with a shrug. But now here he was. And I could see every word they had exchanged for the past month. It started with her. Emily, hey, you probably don't remember me, but I saw your name pop up on people you may know. Wow, it's been forever. Mark, Emily? Of course I remember you. Damn, this is wild. You look exactly the same. How are you? At first, it was friendly. They talked about mutual friends, high school memories, teachers they hated. She even sent him a photo of our old prom picture she'd kept in a drawer somewhere. I watched the tone shift slowly, like a tide rising without notice. Emily, I don't know why I reached out. Maybe I've just been feeling nostalgic. Life gets so heavy sometimes, you know? Mark, I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I never left. That was the first red flag. Then came the messages that made my stomach turn. Emily, do you ever think about us? Like, what did it used to be? Mark, all the time. You were my first real love. I've never felt anything quite like that again. Emily. Neither have I. Mark, I'm going to be in town next month. Would you want to meet up? Just to catch up. No pressure. Dot. Emily, yes. I'd like that. A lot. From there, it got worse. Flirty jokes. Late night messages. Confessions. She told him she missed how he used to make her feel. He said he regretted not fighting for her. She told him she still remembered the way he kissed her neck. My hands trembled as I scrolled. Then I found the one that sealed it. Emily, I told my husband I'm going upstate to visit my parents for a few days. I'll be at the cabin by the lake. Alone. I want to see you. There was a selfie attached. She was in the mirror, dressed in a robe I hadn't seen before, with that perfume I once bought her for our anniversary, the same one she packed when she left. Mark, God, I've missed you. I'll be there Friday. I leaned back against the headboard, the phone sliding from my hand. So, this was what my marriage had become, a carefully orchestrated lie. She didn't just slip. She planned this. She reached out. She started it. She invited him. And all while I was home, making pancakes with our children and reading bedtime stories. Loving her with every ounce of trust I had left. The betrayal wasn't just in what she did. It was in how easy it was for her to do it. She walked through the door at 8:17 p.m., her weekend bag slung casually over one shoulder, like she'd just come back from a retreat. Her hair was still damp from a shower, and she looked lighter. Relaxed. She smiled when she saw me on the couch. Hey, babe. Her voice was breezy. Confident. Rehearsed. Kids asleep? She asked, setting the bag down. I didn't answer. She turned to me and finally noticed the look on my face. Her smile faltered, her steps slowed. What's wrong? I stood up. Calm. Controlled. You should sit down. She froze. I nodded toward the couch. She obeyed, silent now. I know, I said. I know everything. She blinked, opening her mouth, then closing it again. Her breath caught. I checked your location. You weren't at your parents' house. You were 30 minutes away. At a hotel. The same hotel you booked for Mark. Her face drained of color. How? Facebook. You really should use better passwords. That's when her mask cracked. Her lips trembled. I didn't mean. Stop. I pulled out a stack of printed messages. I had screenshots every message, every photo, every invitation. I printed them at a local UPS store earlier that day while the kids watched cartoons, unaware their world was slowly shifting beneath them. I tossed the stack onto the coffee table in front of her. You were sloppy, I said. You left a digital trail a mile wide. I didn't even have to try that hard. You did all the work for me. She buried her face in her hands. Please don't do this in front of the kids. They're asleep, I said coldly. For now. She sobbed, but I didn't feel sorry for her. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I just wanted to feel something again, she choked. You're always working. I'm always exhausted. He made me feel like I mattered. I laughed. Cold and empty. Funny. While you were mattering to him in a lakeside hotel, I was cleaning up vomit from our daughter's stomach bug. I didn't yell. I didn't break things. I didn't even cry. I planned. I spent the next 2 days collecting everything. Every text. Every email. Bank statements. Hotel receipts. I even called the inn and asked for a copy of her invoice for our joint taxes. They emailed it within hours. Her name, his name, 2 nights. 1 cabin. I met with a lawyer. Quietly. A friend of a friend, someone who understood how to move in shadows. Someone who could help me gain temporary custody of the kids if needed. I didn't want a scene. I wanted control. The house was silent. Emily was asleep upstairs, curled up in our bed like she didn't do anything wrong. I sat at the kitchen table with nothing but my laptop, a folder full of screenshots, and one last decision to make. Mark's wife. Her name was Angela Dawson. I'd found it easily enough from his Facebook. A smiling woman in a blue dress, posted just 2 months ago. Anniversary dinner. 11 years married. I stared at the caption. Still my best friend. Still my always. He'd written it while sneaking around with mine. She looked kind. Innocent. Unaware. I clicked on her profile. A few family pictures. A golden retriever. 2 kids, one in middle school, one in ballet shoes. And a pinned post from 3 months ago. Marriage isn't perfect, but honesty is everything. I copied her email address from a linked business page. She worked in marketing. Professional. Articulate. She deserved the truth. Subject: I'm sorry to do this, but you need to know. I took a breath. Then I typed. Hi Angela. I know you don't know me, but I'm writing to you because I believe you deserve honesty. My name is Tony, and I'm married to Emily. Over the last month, Emily and your husband, Mark, have been having an affair. I discovered it by accident, but what I found left no room for doubt. They've been messaging since early April, and they met up in person this past weekend at a hotel Emily told me was a visit to her aging parents. She lied. And from what I've seen in the messages, Mark did too. This isn't an accusation. I'm not here to cause a scene. I just think you should know the truth from someone who doesn't want to see you lied to. Attached are screenshots of their conversations, hotel bookings, and photos that confirm what I'm saying. I know this is a devastating message to receive. I'm sorry it has to come from a stranger. But you deserve the full story. Take care of yourself. And if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Angela replied just before dawn. Thank you for telling me. I knew something was off. I just didn't want to believe it. Please send everything you have. I'm going to confront him today. I'm so sorry you're going through this too. That was all I needed. This wasn't revenge. This was a revelation. And now that the truth was out, the weight didn't disappear, but it shifted. It wasn't mine to carry alone anymore. Now he'd have to face what he broke too. Emily stood at the kitchen sink, pouring cereal for the kids before school. She hadn't said much since she got back from the trip. She moved through the house like a ghost floating, quiet, avoiding my eyes. She thought it was over. She thought I'd keep her secret. Then her phone buzzed. She picked it up. Froze. I watched her from the hallway, coffee in hand. Calm. Waiting. She opened the text. Then another. Then her fingers trembled. "Oh no," she whispered. She stepped into the living room, away from the kids. I followed. Her face was pale now. Eyes wide. Her voice cracked. Did you tell her?" I sipped my coffee. "Tell who?" "Mark's wife. Angela. She knows. She just texted him. She sent him screenshots." I raised my eyebrows. That must have been a shock. Emily looked like she'd been hit by a truck. "He's freaking out. He said I was careless. That I should have deleted our messages. That I ruined his marriage." I didn't say anything. "He said I destroyed everything." She cried, eyes wild now, desperate. I stared at her for a long moment. "No, Emily. You destroyed everything. You just didn't think anyone would call you out for it." Emily sat down, shaking. Her phone buzzed again. She didn't even want to look. "I didn't think you'd go that far," she said quietly. "Why would you do that?" I leaned against the wall. "Because Angela deserved to know. Just like I did." Tears welled in her eyes. "You've ruined 4 lives." I laughed, bitter and cold. "No, you and Mark did that. I'm just making sure nobody gets to pretend they're innocent." Her mask slipped. "He won't even talk to me now. He blocked me. Said I made a mess of everything." "You did." She looked up at me, tears rolling now. "So, what now? Are you going to leave me? Are you going to take the kids?" I didn't answer right away. I just watched her fall apart. She didn't know I'd already met with a lawyer. She didn't know I had everything documented, neatly organized in a folder labeled custody prep. She didn't know Angela offered to testify if this ever went to court. She's not ready for what's coming. The weight of the day was settling in like a storm cloud, but I didn't care. The tension in the house was thick, the air suffocating. Emily's quiet sobs echoed through the rooms, but I couldn't bring myself to care. She had made her choices. I had made mine. Mark's threats pinged on my phone in rapid succession. I barely read them anymore. "You'll regret this. You don't know what you're messing with. You'll lose everything. I'll make sure of it." It was the same thing over and over, a desperate plea for me to back down. A threat to my children. But it wasn't the first time someone had used my kids against me. It wouldn't be the last either. I stared at the phone, numb. His words meant nothing. I was done with caring about him, about their affair, about anything that didn't involve my control moving forward. I wasn't going to let his guilt trip me. I wasn't going to let Emily's tears change my course. I had already done the one thing that mattered. I had exposed the truth. I went back to the messages. The last one was filled with fury. "You're nothing but a coward, hiding behind your keyboard. If you want to play this game, be prepared to lose. I won't just walk away. I'll make your life hell." I smiled to myself. Good luck with that, Mark. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. His threats were hollow. I could already hear the panic in his voice when he spoke to Emily earlier, his fear leaking out of every text. She had shattered his carefully constructed life, and he couldn't fix it. I had done my part. I had revealed his betrayal to his wife, and now Angela was in the picture, with the truth in her hands. The guilt wouldn't stay in his hands for long. The wreckage of his life would follow him wherever he went. She walked into the kitchen slowly, eyes red and face blotchy from crying. I didn't look up when she sat down across from me, not at first. Her presence barely registered. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. It was just a mistake." A mistake? That's what she thought it was. A mistake? I set my phone down on the table, the screen still glowing with Mark's furious messages. You didn't make a mistake, Emily. You made a choice. And you've been making that choice every time you lied. Her voice broke. I never meant to hurt you. No, I said calmly, my voice colder than I had ever heard it. You didn't. You meant to hurt me, and you got away with it for a while. But now the truth is out. Now we both have to live with it. She reached out, but I didn't let her touch me. The gesture was meaningless now. I didn't know who else to turn to, she said, her voice cracking. I didn't know how to tell you. I looked her in the eyes. You didn't want to tell me. You wanted to live in the lies because they were easier. But the truth always comes out. Emily. There was silence between us. The sobs had stopped, but her eyes were still wet. I could see the desperation on her face. She wanted me to forgive her, to understand why she had done what she did. But I couldn't. I got up and walked toward the door. Where are you going? Emily's voice followed me. To bed, I replied. You can stay here and cry if you want. But I'm done talking about this. Her voice trembled. So, what happens now? Now? I said, turning back to face her. Now I make sure you face the consequences of what you've done. Just like Mark is about to. And I'll take care of the kids. I'll figure out the next step. I don't need you to do that for me anymore. I could see the weight of my words sinking in. She wanted to pretend like we could fix this, that everything could go back to normal. But I was done. There was no going back. As the divorce was being finalized, Mark completely ghosted Emily. The texts that had flooded in with anger and threats turned into silence. At first, she thought he was just giving her space, that he was cooling off, that this was just a phase. But no. Mark didn't reach out. Mark didn't apologize. Mark didn't try to fix things. He completely disappeared from her life. Emily tried to contact him multiple times, texts, calls, even emails. But there was no response. Not even a brief acknowledgement. The man who had been so full of anger and bravado just weeks ago now vanished like a shadow. Eventually, Emily called me. I let it ring twice before answering. Mark won't talk to me, she said, the hurt evident in her voice. He's just gone. He left me, too. I didn't answer immediately. The words felt like they should be spoken, but I wasn't sure I even wanted to say them. The truth hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Didn't see that coming? I finally said, my tone flat. She started crying. He promised he'd fix this. That we could start over. I sighed, leaning back in my chair. He used you, Emily. You were a convenience. Once everything fell apart, he realized you weren't worth the risk. Not when his marriage was at stake. She stayed quiet for a long time, her breathing shaky. I don't know what to do now, she whispered, her voice broken. Figure it out, I said, my words sharp. You're on your own now. By the time the divorce was finalized, Emily had lost almost everything. She had the remnants of a shattered life, the guilt, the loneliness, and now, the emptiness of knowing that Mark was gone. She didn't ask for full custody. The judge had already granted me primary custody, and Emily didn't fight it anymore. She knew she had no chance of winning the battle. And the kids, my kids, had already been through enough. They deserved better than a mother who had betrayed their father. Emily tried to visit them a few times after the divorce, but the kids weren't having it. They had their routines with me now, and every time she showed up, they pulled away. I didn't force them to reject her, but I didn't encourage contact either. Her place in their lives was no longer assured. She had lost that privilege. I wasn't cruel about it. I just made it clear that her actions had consequences. Weeks passed, and Emily's desperation grew. She tried to rebuild a life without Mark, but it was obvious that he wasn't coming back. She started contacting mutual friends, asking if anyone had heard from him. But the answer was always the same. No one had. The messages she sent me became less frequent, her tone growing more pleading. She would beg for advice, asking if there was any way to fix things, if there was any hope for reconciliation. But there was no hope. There never was. And I made sure she understood that.